Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something real, something honest, and something every woman in this room needs to understand. There is a sentence you can say to a man that he will never, ever forget. Now, I'm not talking about poetry. I'm not talking about some movie line. I'm talking about a sentence that hits him straight in the soul. Because men, we don't remember everything, but we remember the moments where someone made us feel seen, respected, and chosen. A man never forgets the words that make him feel respected, valued, and chosen, because deep inside every man, no matter how confident he looks on the outside, there is a part of him craving recognition from the woman he truly cares about. You have to understand something about men. We walk through life carrying a lot of weight on our shoulders. Society expects us to be strong, silent, unshaken, and unbreakable. But just because a man doesn't show his emotions the same way a woman does, doesn't mean he doesn't feel deeply. In fact, the things he remembers the longest are usually the things he heard when he wasn't expecting comfort, support, or belief. Men may forget the conversations that happen in routine moments, but they never forget the words that reach the place they hide from the world. When a woman speaks to a man in a way that makes him feel respected, something shifts inside him. Respect isn't just politeness, it's a language. It tells him that you see him, that you recognize his effort, that you acknowledge his worth even when he doubts himself. And when you say something that makes him feel chosen, that's the moment he locks you in his heart. Because every man, no matter how tough he looks, wants to feel like he is the one you picked, not because you had no choice, but because you wanted him. That one feeling can stay with him for years, long after relationships fade, long after people grow apart, long after life changes direction. A man will still remember the woman who made him feel valued. Men aren't wired to hold on to every detail, but they hold on to emotional impact. A simple sentence spoken at a powerful moment can sit in a man's chest like a memory he returns to when he needs strength. And that's because respect to a man is like oxygen. It gives him life, it gives him fuel, it gives him a reason to step into his potential. When a woman respects him, he sees himself differently. He thinks bigger, he tries harder, he becomes more responsible. The words you say can either slow him down or make him rise. When they make him rise, he never forgets them. Think about it. When a man feels respected, he becomes softer without losing his strength. He becomes more protective without becoming controlling. He becomes more committed without feeling pressured. That's the power your words hold. And when those words are filled with belief instead of doubt, appreciation instead of criticism, recognition instead of judgment, that's when you leave a mark on him that time cannot erase. So when a woman says something that makes a man feel respected, valued, and chosen, it doesn't just enter his ears, it enters his memory, his spirit, and his identity. That one moment can shape how he sees himself, how he sees you, and how he sees the future. That is why he never forgets it. One honest sentence from a woman can shift a man's entire mindset and commitment, because men don't fall for perfection. They fall for sincerity. A man can hear 1,000 compliments that sound pretty, but they won't touch him the way one honest, raw, truth-filled sentence will. Men don't need a speech. They don't need a paragraph. They don't need poetic lines. They need authenticity. They need to hear something that makes them pause, rethink, and look at you with new eyes. A man's heart responds to honesty faster than beauty, charm, or even attraction, because honesty is rare and it cuts through all the noise in his mind. Most men have been told what they're doing wrong their whole lives. They've been criticized, pressured, and pushed. So when a woman comes to him with honesty instead of judgment, with truth instead of manipulation, he feels something he isn't used to feeling, safety. And when a man feels emotionally safe, he opens up in a way he wasn't taught to. He lets you see the parts of him he usually hides. He lets you close, not because he's weak, but because your honesty makes him strong enough to let his guard down. You have to understand something. Powerful men change not because they're forced, but because they're inspired. They don't commit because they're chased. They commit because they're moved. And nothing moves a man like a sentence that feels honest, real, and spoken from the heart. When you speak honestly, he doesn't hear it with his ears. He hears it with his soul. It aligns him, redirects him, and sometimes even wakes him up from his own confusion. A man might be drifting, unsure, or afraid of commitment, but when a woman tells him something honest that reflects his potential, his effort, or his intentions, he rethinks everything. That's the power you hold. A single moment of truth can shift a man from uncertainty to clarity, from hesitation to decision, from distance to effort. Because when he feels seen in a genuine way, he wants to step into the version of himself you believe in. Honesty from a woman is powerful because it is both a mirror and a motivator. It shows him who he is right now and who he could be if he grows. And that growth becomes meaningful when he knows someone believes in it. Men don't forget the woman who speaks truth into their lives. They don't forget the sentence that made them finally understand what direction they needed to go. They don't forget the moment they felt clarity from a voice that wasn't loud but was sincere. One sentence, just one, can make him see you differently, see himself differently, and see the relationship differently. When a woman speaks honestly, she doesn't push a man, she guides him. She doesn't pressure him, she invites him. She doesn't control him, she inspires him. And inspiration is something a man never forgets. One honest sentence can be the turning point he didn't even know he needed. Men remember impact, not effort, because what stays in a man's heart is not how long something took or how much work went into it, but how deeply it made him feel. A man can go through years of his life without remembering dates, details, or even whole conversations, but he will always remember the moment someone's words or actions hit him in a way he couldn't shake off. Impact is emotional. Impact is personal. Impact is the thing that makes a man stop, breathe differently, and realize that something meaningful just happened. That's what stays with him long after the effort is forgotten. See, Men are raised in a world where effort is expected from them constantly. They work, they struggle, they push through, and half the time nobody even notices what they carry. So effort becomes normal. But impact, that's rare. When someone makes him feel encouraged, understood, or supported in a way he didn't expect, that becomes a memory he holds on to. Because men don't get those moments often. They don't get told that they're appreciated. They don't get reminded that their heart matters too. So when something pierces through that silence, he feels it deeply. This is why a single moment of emotional significance can overshadow 1,000 routine moments. It's not about how much you do, it's about what you say or how you show up in the exact moment he needed it. You can spend hours trying to impress a man, but one sentence spoken with intention, one gesture that touches his spirit can stay with him for life. Men remember the feeling, the shift, the spark, the recognition. They remember how someone made them feel seen even when they didn't say they needed it. Impact hits a man in the place he never talks about. It reaches the boy inside him who wanted approval, the young man who wanted direction, and the grown man who wants peace. When something impacts him emotionally, he carries it with him like a reminder that he's not alone, that he's capable, that someone believes in him. It becomes a silent motivator he goes back to when he struggles. And that's why he never forgets it. You can tell a man 100 times that he's doing a good job, and he might smile and move on. But tell him once that he changed your life, that you see his effort, that you value his character, and that moment becomes unforgettable because it's not the repetition that matters, it's the depth. Men store their emotions in specific memories. They remember who lifted them when they were low, who supported them when they doubted themselves, who spoke life into them when they were tired. Impact is what makes a man stay committed, stay loyal, and stay focused. It's what shapes his decisions and strengthens his bond with the person who made him feel it. Because when something hits his heart, not just his ears, he never forgets it. A man never forgets a woman who speaks with confidence, grace, and certainty because it's rare, and men are wired to notice rare things. Most women speak, but few speak in a way that makes a man stop and actually listen. Confidence grabs his attention, grace holds it, and certainty makes him believe. When a woman talks with authority over her own heart, over her own life, over her own worth, a man can't help but take notice. It's not arrogance, it's clarity, and men respect clarity above charm, beauty, or even humor because clarity tells them she knows herself and she knows what she wants, and that makes him pay attention to every word she says. Confidence in a woman is magnetic. When she speaks confidently, it shows that she values herself. And when a man sees that she values herself, he automatically wants to value her too. Because men naturally want to protect, honor, and rise to the level of the woman they admire. When you speak confidently, you're showing a man that you don't need to be pushed, pulled, or convinced, that you're secure in who you are, and that security challenges him to meet you on the same level. Men notice when a woman's voice is steady, when her words are deliberate, and when she doesn't over-explain herself. That certainty becomes a lighthouse in the chaos of life, a guide that he can trust without question. Grace is equally powerful because it softens the impact of confidence. Confidence without grace can feel harsh or intimidating, but when it's wrapped in grace, it becomes irresistible. Grace makes a man feel safe, it makes him feel respected, and it makes him want to be better. When a woman carries herself with dignity, even while speaking truth, men don't hear criticism, they hear wisdom. They don't feel judged, they feel uplifted. Grace turns her words into a gift, and a man never forgets the woman who gives him clarity with kindness, honesty with respect, and truth with love. Certainty is the final piece of the puzzle. Men may wander, they may doubt, they may hesitate, but certainty is a beacon. When a woman speaks with certainty, she removes confusion, she sets boundaries, and she communicates her value in a way that leaves no room for misunderstanding. Men are drawn to certainty because it simplifies life, it inspires action, and it creates trust. He knows exactly where he stands with her, and that clarity makes him feel secure enough to invest his heart fully. Men may forget the small talk, the jokes, or even the compliments, but they never forget the woman whose confidence, grace, and certainty made him feel respected, challenged, and understood all at once. When a woman combines these three qualities, her words carry weight. Her sentences leave impressions that echo in his mind long after she walks away. A man never forgets a woman who speaks with confidence, grace, and certainty because she becomes unforgettable. She becomes the standard against which he measures everything else, the voice that keeps coming back in his memory, and the presence that inspires him to be the man she already knows he can be. When you tell a man exactly what you see in him, he rises to become that version because men are wired to respond to belief. They may not always show it. They may hide their emotions behind pride or silence, but inside, every man wants to know that someone sees his potential. Most men go through life feeling overlooked, undervalued, or underestimated, and when a woman comes along and points out the greatness she already sees in him, it ignites something he cannot ignore. It's not flattery, it's not manipulation, it's a simple truth that fuels motivation and commitment. When you verbalize what you see in him, you plant a seed of confidence and purpose that grows into action. Men often underestimate the power of perception. They don't realize how much weight words carry, especially words that reflect their true potential. When a woman tells a man, "I see your strength," or "I see how capable you are," she is handing him a mirror that reflects the best version of himself. And here's the magic: once he sees it in her eyes, he wants to live up to it. He wants to be the man she believes he can be. Men crave validation, but not empty validation. They crave the kind that challenges them to step up, to rise, to transform into something bigger than they imagined. The woman who speaks this truth becomes a catalyst for his growth. The reason this works is simple. Men are driven by purpose and recognition. They want to feel that their actions, their struggles, and their sacrifices matter When you tell him what you see in him, you are validating not just who he is, but who he could be. That shifts his mindset from complacency to ambition. It changes how he views himself and how he views his relationship with you. Suddenly, he's not just living for survival, he's living to become the man worthy of the woman who already sees his potential. That belief becomes a roadmap he wants to follow, and he will never forget the woman who gave it to him. This is why a single sentence can have such lasting impact. When you say, "I believe in you," or "I see your greatness," it becomes more than words. It becomes a promise, a vision, and a challenge all at once. Men respond to vision because it gives them direction. Men respond to belief because it gives them purpose. And men respond to women who are not afraid to speak the truth of their perception because it's rare. Most women focus on flaws, complaints, or criticism, but the woman who sees potential and voices it creates loyalty, admiration, and respect that endures. When you tell a man what you see in him, you awaken the man inside who has always wanted to be acknowledged and believed in. You motivate him to rise to the occasion, to work harder, to be better, not for anyone else, but because he wants to live up to the vision you have shared. That is power, that is influence. And that is why men never forget the woman who sees them clearly and speaks it aloud. The right words, spoken with honesty and conviction, can change his life. And once he experiences that, he carries it with him forever. When the right sentence is said at the right moment, it becomes a memory he carries for life, because timing amplifies everything. Men may hear words every day, but not every word lands the same way. A man might go through life hearing compliments, advice, and encouragement, but if those words come when he's distracted, doubtful, or emotionally closed, they can slip past him unnoticed. The moment matters. It's about speaking with precision, with awareness, and with intention. The sentence that hits at the perfect moment connects directly to his heart, and that connection leaves a lasting imprint. It's why a man may forget what he had for breakfast yesterday, but he will never forget the sentence that made him feel truly understood, respected, or valued at a pivotal time. Think about